Hello again, I'm back with the April Start to Finish card series, and for today's card I'm going to be using this cute little stamp. It's called Happy Days, and it's from Crafty Sentiments Designs, and I'll have a link down below. So I'm just going to start coloring her up. I have all my colors. We're going to start with her skin and her hair, and this is the skin combination, this will be the hair combination. And I'm starting with my lightest, and it's an E50. She's stamped on Copic Express It with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm going to have her light source coming in from the right. Her body's kind of facing that way, her eye line's going up there. So I think it'll be a nice frame for her. The light will kind of hit her in a nice way. So I'm just going to start laying down my lightest color. Again, I kind of do this because it lets me map out where my shadows and darker areas are going to be towards the end. So I'm just putting in color opposite the light source. Anything that I want to be the lightest at the end is going to stay white here at the beginning. So, you know, this shoulder where it juts out and is closer to the light, as well as this shoulder, I'm leaving white right now. Same with kind of this cheek that's a little bit closer to her, whereas I went a little bit more with the skin tone on this cheek that's away. And then I'm going to work kind of in sections. And then, so I'm just going to do her head and shoulders. And then my second color is E21. And right over top the E50, going a little bit less than before. I'm not going quite as far in with it. I kind of give her a shadow back behind that nose, under her chin, and then that curve of her shoulder again. And that little necklace is going to have a little shadow line. And then her collarbone where it dips in there, and then the shoulder there. And then my darkest is the E11. And again, right over top, and I'm just, with the very tip of the marker, putting that darker shadow in. Just little sweeping motions, not too much of this one. Okay. Just reinforcing all those darker areas. So that's, you know, my first pass up, the light, medium, dark. And now I'm going to come back down to the medium, the E21, and I'm going to use it right over top, blending out that E11, going a little bit further into the white area than I did the first time. I'm just going to pull that color and start, and this is where we start blending. Kind of avoid that area around her eye because I want to leave some white for her eye when we get to that. Just kind of pull in, but not as much on this side because that's where a lot of our light's going to be hitting. There. And then go to my lightest, the E50. I'm not going to start all the way back in the 11. I'm going to kind of start in the 21 area and blend and pull from there into that white. I'm going to start filling in everything that I left white initially. Just blend those colors together. Do the same on her face, not going into that E11 really, just blending into the E21 with this one. Leave a little bit white around her eye there. Now, I'm not quite done. You could be, but I'm going to add in a little bit of BV20 to deepen up the shadows on her. And I know I've explained this in a past video too, where throwing in a little bit of the BVs, like BV01, BV2023, and even a V2022 sometimes, kind of mimics the blue undertone on skin. So that's what we're going to kind of do here with this, is we're just going to deepen up those shadows on her. Give her a little bit more realistic look to her skin. Definitely optional, don't have to, but if you want to play around with shading and shadowing on skin, this is a fun thing to do. So just right over basically the E11, that was anywhere where we had those darker shadows, is where I'm touching in some of the BV20. Okay. And now I'm going to kind of blend it with the E11. Just really darkening up where all these darker shadows are falling. And back to my E21, right over top, blending out again. And finishing off with the E50. Not going all the way back into those darker areas, but just blending that E21 a bit again. Okay, now I also want to add in a blush on her cheek. So while the face is still wet, I'm going to add a little bit of R00. And while that's still wet, a little bit of R20 into it. Her hair's kind of in the way there, but I'm not really worrying about it because the hair will be dark enough that it'll blend it out. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my E50, kind of blend that in a bit. Okay, so now I'm just going to move on to her arms and legs, and just still keeping in mind the same light source. So I'm going to start putting the color in opposite it, leaving the areas further away white. So underneath her sleeve here is going to be casting a bit of a shadow, and then same up here. And then this side is a little bit tricky. We got the light being blocked by the arm itself, and then this vine kind of thing, but it would be kind of coming through and touching the middle there. So I'm going to leave that kind of white. And then there, and then the legs will be easy. Underneath her skirt's going to have a shadow, and then on the opposite side there. And this leg's going to cast a shadow on that one. And the bottom of her foot's going to be in shadow, but her little toes are peeking out enough to catch the sun, and maybe just a bit of her heel back there. Now my medium tone, the E21, right over top of that. Just again, keep building up those darker areas. Her fingers, as they wrap around the swing, are going to be darker on that side. And that down there is more in shadow. Okay. And my darkest is the E11. And just, thin line again, using that tip of the the brush tip. Getting the color on there. We're just mapping things out. We're not doing any pretty blending yet. Just kind of telling us where our dark and light is going to be. She'll come together at the end. But right now, yeah, it looks a little weird. Okay. Now I'm working my way back down with the E21, blending it out, that E11, softening it up, pulling it. This is where we start making things look smooth and blended. Always, paying attention to our light source. Like I said, I'm leaving some white to keep, where my lightest area is going to be at the end. But it's each time the white space is getting a little smaller, Then the E50. And I'm not going to go into the 11 with it. I'm just blending into the E21 because I don't want to lose the contrast that we'll get between the E50 and the E11. But I do want to get a smooth blend with the colors. So this is where I'm filling up the white that we left initially. Get that heel back there and then down across her toes. Okay. Now I'm not going to forget to add the BV20 to the legs and arms as well. So in our deepest shadowed areas, so opposite that light source, I'm going to just with the tip of the brush, kind of where we did the E11, just same areas, really get a nice hazy kind of shadow on our skin. Underneath the skirt down here, and then on the back side of the leg, there, and then the bottom of her foot underneath those toes. Then once I have that, just like we did on the face, take my E11, right over top, blending it a bit, making it a little less blue, because I don't want her to look like a corpse, which can happen. I mean, these are some of the same colors, using for like making the zombie skin and stuff, is adding in a lot of the BVs or the Vs and stuff. But we want to give her a natural kind of skin tone. So now the E21 again, blend those all out. And it'll help darken her skin up too. The first pass would give her a very light skin tone. And I did want this little gal to have some sun. She's out on a swing and stuff, so I didn't want her super pale. But just a pretty kind of golden skin tone. And then blending it with the E50 to finish it off. Okay, so there we have her skin. And I'm already at 14 minutes, so I think I'm going to stop this video. We'll leave this just for skin, and I'll do the hair in a separate one. So I'll see you in a little bit. Bye.